very sad to know that she passed away here just recently, and we're recognizing her. And I'd like to have an opportunity for the chairman and the planning commission and members who knew her well, like myself, who did a superb job with. When you check the record of attendance, she was here every meeting, and I think that is a plus. And that's a hard job to do, to make every meeting. So, but she was there, and I'll open it up for comments and from council for start.
One for Ms. Mary.
Yeah, for Mary Starr.
Yeah, she was a character. She was here all the time, and very supportive of the city, and a very good member on the planning and zoning. She will certainly be missed by all, and the turnout for the services was real good for Mary, but it just showed how much influence that she had throughout the city and serving here. So it'd be a tough seat to fill for Mary in her absence.
Thank you, Mayor. Mary was a great servant to the community, always very opinionated, never shy about sharing the opinion. So I'm going to miss her. I'm going to miss her wisdom, and I'm going to miss her contributions greatly. Like Member Owen said, that we may fill the seat, but we'll never be able to replace her.
Mary was one of the first people I met when I first moved to Pearland, so I have a little bit of history with her. It was always nice to see her out in the community and talk with her. She always wanted to talk politics, and so we had some great discussions, and she'll be sadly missed, and I greatly appreciate her contribution to the city and the community.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to honor Mary's service to the city and just remember her. I will probably miss the most getting here and having a little moment to sit down and chit chat before the meetings and stuff like that. And Mary she never missed an opportunity to say something that would make you think twice or or just kind of chuckle or something like that. So I will definitely miss her, and her service was really beautiful. And I just agree with the previous comments of my fellow council members that she'll be a very difficult personality to ever replace, and she'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
I sat with Councilman Hernandez and Councilman Owens at their service, and while it was sad, I just say a nicer person you won't meet other than Mary, and she'll be missed.
She was a great asset to P&Z and to the city. She'll be missed, and she didn't add a lot of words, and she just told you what she thought, and I appreciated that.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the service of everyone on these volunteer boards, and as was mentioned, Mary was very consistent about being here and making sure her perspective was shared. So a tremendous loss for P&Z, for the city of Pearland, and very grateful for her service.
Move to the home team with Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. Mary was one of the core members to P&Z for many years. When I came on board, of course, shortly met Mary and learned a lot about Mary, being kind of new to Pearland, only moving here in '97. Mary knew everything about Pearland and how we got here. As I sit here and see one of our former commissioners and chairs in the audience, we had some very good debates in our meetings, and Mary brought a lot to that to the table. It's my belief that we shouldn't have the same opinions on everything. That Mary brought, like we do on the commission and council, different opinions from different aspects of Pearland, and Mary certainly would let the commission know her opinions, and we had good debates with Mary, and we appreciate her service to the community.
Mayor, thank you for letting us honor Mary during this time. And I think Councilman Carbone said that she didn't have to say a lot, but I could glance over at her and get a good eye roll, and it spoke volumes sometimes. And I learned a lot from Mary, and she's such a servant to the city, and just her service was beautiful, and it was such a show of respect. The people that were there, and the number of people that were there, also as to her value to Pearland, and we will miss her greatly on P&Z.
Well, I knew Mary, I guess, from about 78 on, and during the times that we lived here, I worked with her in various capacities, and she was always interested in the community and trying to make Pearland a better place. So she will be missed.
My time with Miss Mary was interesting in what she would always tell us what was and what is, and again, didn't mind telling you her specific thoughts on exactly that. So she will be missed.
Unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to meet Miss Mary, but I heard nothing but good things, and it's always unfortunate when you lose someone that's such an asset to the community as she was. So she will be missed.
With that completion, I think it's appropriate that her star was on the Planning and Zoning Commission for over 20 or 25 years total. A long, long time, and was always a very thorough person. So I think it's appropriate that when our numbers are reduced like this by one, I think we need to recognize them for their service. We appreciate everyone's comment because it's so appropriate that people of that quality are the job she did, being recognized. With that information and ceremony in place, let's move to a joint special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council of the City of Pearland from Monday, February the 17th, 2020. Moving to item number 1, we are called to order the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Roll call of the City Council. We are here in all the positions are here tonight with bright, shiny faces. Mr. Chairman.
Likewise, Mayor, Planning and Zoning Commission are here, all members present.
Okay. Moving to item number 4, introduction of agenda and format of the hearing. Staff position.
Thank you, Mayor. First, there will be a call to order followed by the staff report. Then the applicant has an opportunity to present their case. Afterward, the public has opportunity to speak in either opposition or support. At that time, please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and be brief and to the point within a 3-minute time frame. Then hand over your completed speaker card to our recording secretary here to my right. After that, council, commission, and staff will have discussion, and then the agenda item will be closed so that way city council can take a vote to either approve with conditions, deny, or to table for more information. As said, we had the second case withdrawn by the applicant, so we'll only be hearing the first case, which is a conditional use permit for a massage establishment within the Pearland Town Center at 1200 Broadway.
Okay.
And that completes our presentation.
The Planning and Zoning introduction format. Mr. Chairman of the PC, would you do the joint special meeting?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thomas?
This is a request by Bingji Liu, applicant on behalf of Pearland Town Center LP, owner, for approval of conditional use permit CUP to allow for a massage establishment in a leased space within the Pearland Town Center plan development. This is at the 11,200 block of Broadway, Suite 370.
Okay. that information in the record. Let's move to item number number 5, application information case summary, staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This request is for approval of a conditional use permit for a massage establishment at the Pearland Town Center. You recall from the January 6th meeting that this conditional use permit request hearing was postponed because there was a discrepancy between what was described in the ad versus what the applicant intended to do. And I'd like to personally apologize for not catching that discrepancy earlier. But the applicant has since clarified the request and submitted new plans and materials in support of his application. The request is therefore for a conditional use permit for a massage establishment for a full body massage. We have received no comments in support or in opposition to this request. The subject property has a future land use designation of Gateway 288. It is the Pearland Town Center. The Pearland Town Center is a planned development and it requires a conditional use permit for massage establishments. Here is a look at the layout of the Pearland Town Center. The subject property is located in the northwest quadrant. The applicant has submitted floor plans showing the intended layout of the massage establishment. It has 3 massage rooms and it also has a waiting area and an open area for foot massages. Staff has evaluated this request and found that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan as well as the PD plan for the Pearland Town Center. It meets the intent of the city's thoroughfare plan. The property is platted and has utilities available. It's also consistent with all the conditions for approval of a conditional use permit within the Pearland Town Center. The Unified Development Code has a list of conditions for all massage establishments. These have been explained to the applicant. He has acknowledged that he understands and he's had the opportunity to read through the list of conditions and has signed the list of conditions. So he's been made aware of all the conditions and plans to abide by these conditions. But I just want to present a summary of these conditions. The first one is that the operating hours will be between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and the outside windows will be transparent so that there's visibility from the outside into the inside. It would be unobstructed. All doors will remain unlocked during all business hours. And at no time shall the business be used as a residence or a dwelling. Licenses issued by the state would be clearly displayed and easily viewable in the lobby or waiting area. Number 6, that a peace officer would be allowed to enter the premises of the massage establishment. And then the 7th one is that the city would have the authority to revoke the conditional use permit or the certificate of occupancy if they violate any of the conditions of the massage establishment, as well as the Texas Penal codes regarding trafficking of persons, prostitution, promotion of prostitution, sexual performance by a child, or employment harmful to a child. And the applicant plans to or has agreed to abide by all these conditions. And based on that, staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit. That concludes my staff report.
Okay, let's move item B, which will let the applicant make a presentation.
Please state your
The
name,
podium is yours.
address
Yes.
for the record.
Well, this is my first time, so bear with me. Basically, this is going to be regular massage, and it's a 3-room. Go in there, as you can see, room 1, 2, and 3. Let's provide more of a full body massage. People can lay in there, and there will be masseuse perform the massage. And then on the service area, and that will be performed with the foot massage. And there's a waiting area, and so this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple establishment.
Thank you. You might want to have a seat right there in case they have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
That information in the record. Let's move to item C, which would let persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request. Mr. Little?
Anyone in the audience wishing to speak for or against this proposal? Second time, anyone in the audience wishing to speak for or against this proposal? Third and final time, anyone in the audience wishing to speak for or against this proposal?
Good. Now, moving in our agenda, item number 7, it is, Planning and Zoning Commission, City Council, and staff have an opportunity to do some wrapping up of their comments and plans. Item A is Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. Laney?
Do you have any other massage establishments?
Oh, yes, we do. We have 4 across the state, United States, and all of them is within either in a business center like this or in a mall area.
And they're all full body massage?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Wickers?
Perhaps I missed it. For the record, would you please state your name and where your address?
Me or him?
Whoever
was speaking.
Whoever can answer it.
My name is Fred. I'm speaking. I'm his translator because he hardly speaks English. And Miss Liu, right? Yeah, Liu has been here for 10 years. In the United States for a little bit more than 10 years. And he has like 4 or 5 different massage establishments across the United States. And all of them is in a very legit location. And we are looking at another one at Laredo in another shopping mall.
I think he wanted you to state his name and his address.
Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Bingji Liu, and his address. Hold on, give us a second. Sorry about it. He is at 8826 Mobile Drive, Houston, Texas.
Thank you. I just had one question for staff. Do we have the density numbers for massage establishments surrounding this? Is that something we're working on building in the future, or? I know we've discussed it before.
We're working on building that.
Okay. Do we have an idea of how many massage establishments are in the city of Pearland currently, both with and without CUPs?
I don't have that number immediately in front of me. I know that we've recently done an investigation for some of them. So I know that we have a list. I just don't have that list in front of me.
Thank you.
I have a question for the staff. Concerning these establishments, these massage establishments, I've noticed that several of them have had foot massage in the name. So is it possible that in that application packet, it could be confusing or a misunderstanding that when the application is being submitted, if I have the foot in my name, that I'm not going into further detail to explain that I'm providing more than foot services? Because I'll use an example. My favorite massage business has foot in its name, and I've never gotten a foot massage. So I just wanted to know moving forward so we can make sure that when people are applying for this, it's not confusion just because foot is in the name of the business.
So part of the actions that we took after the January joint special meeting was to create a form that plainly states, list out the types of massage that will be performed at this location. And it lists off foot or below the knee, full body, back or shoulders or other, and then gives an area for the applicant to explain. So I believe going forward, we have a fix for that.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, the use as listed in the UDC just calls it a massage establishment. It's not limited by area of the body. So in the future, we will always be advertising such a use as just a massage establishment. If the applicant wishes to limit or recommend a limitation on that as part of their acquiring or seeking to acquire a CUP, they can do that. But we will no longer limit or advertise them as anything other than just a massage establishment.
My question was about the specific types of massages, and staff answered the question. Thank you.
No more comments? No more comments, Mayor.
No more comments? Move to item number C. Persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request. Councilor Bloom? Oh, I'm sorry. You still have some discussion?
Yeah, I just got a question. I see that you got 3 rooms for the massage and 4 chairs for the foot massage or whatever on that. Are these full-time employees? Are they contract people, or do they rent a chair or rent a room there from you? Or how does the employees handle it?
Chance here.
Yeah. I'll just do the female.
You will be employed by him. His employee.
Okay, so there's not like a lot of the nail places where they rent out the chairs to people that are doing the nails and things like that. So these are all be employees and not renting out the locations.
Oh, no. This will be all by his this will belong to him, and he will employ this helper or massage.
Okay, and all of them will be licensed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Got the council comments or questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'm okay with this use. I appreciate the patience of the applicant and clearing up the purpose of the application. Just for clarification, the site plan or the floor plan, I would strip that from the CUP and just tell them that they're required to meet the conditions in the UDC as we amended them most recently. As long as you're willing to comply with that, I'm okay with the use.
Any other comments from council?
I have a couple questions. First, thanks for providing the other locations that you have operating. I looked at the photos of your existing locations, and it shows that the body massage tables in those locations are out in the open, and those would be at your other locations. I think you had one in Arkansas, and you had another one. Let me pull that up. You had another one at Central Mall in Arkansas, one at the Patrick Henry Mall in Virginia. And those, all of the massage tables seem to be in the open. I'm just curious as to why the decision was made to put the body massage tables in enclosed spaces at this location.
Give me a second.
Sure.
He says it's due to privacy because when you do body massage, you want to be in a closed area because it's due to privacy.
But at your other locations, it seems to be in the open. If you look at the photos,
as long as there's a body massage, they will be performed in a closed room.
okay. So I saw some of the photos you had. I'm not sure if those were rooms for a body massage, but you had curtains instead of doors. Is that going to be the same here, or are these going to be doors?
Or this a door.
It's a door, okay. And you understand that there will be no, the doors will remain unlocked, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then also, I had another, for the locks on the doors. During business hours, I can't be locked, but I also had a request maybe to also add a condition that in the storage room, that there is no interior lock. So the door has to be able to be opened from the inside of the storage room at all times, both to the rear exit and the exit to the main space. I don't know if that's something, again, even when they're closed, just to be able to exit the storage room if you're inside.
Okay, we are compliant to that.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. I appreciate you giving the answer.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council at this point?
Just a quick one. You mentioned that he has locations all over the country. Has he ever been, or any one of his employees ever been arrested for violations of state law?
Let me ask. No, not even one case.
All right, thank you.
No, I appreciate the in-depth discussion we've had and the changes to UDC, and yeah, I don't have an issue with this. I like the fact that we've got a mechanism to enforce it. So if there are issues in the future, we can just pull the CO. So thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to follow up on that. Certainly in agreement with the conditions, but just did want a little bit of clarification around enforcement from staff. What mechanism do we have to ensure compliance with these conditions?
We have the ability to come back to council and ask council to rescind the CUP if we find they are unable or unwilling to meet the criteria.
But just more mechanically, how would we determine, for instance, in this case, if a massage parlor, for example, had window obstructions? Is there?
It would be treated like any other code case. Code enforcement would be asked to investigate. If they found an issue, they would seek compliance. If compliance wasn't met, then we would move to enforcement through our court system as well as through the zoning process.
Gotcha. Okay. Just my concern is, I think, as I've expressed before, I don't want the government at a meeting like this, using snap judgments or whatever to tell a business they can't operate. But I am concerned that we have that ability to actually enforce the conditions. And so it's just my observation in terms of other CUPs that we've issued, that some of those businesses are not in compliance. And so it seems to me that there's an issue of kind of what we're saying. There's no check. It's kind of like if somebody happens to just one-off notice, this is not complying with the CUP, but otherwise, it's my understanding what you're saying, we don't make sure that anyone is in compliance.
Well, I think we have to look at it as one of several items that our code compliance team works on. And so when items are identified, either through staff initiation or from complaints from the public,
Sure.
then those are noted.
Yeah, and certainly not a slam at all on community development. My point is that's not in the mandate to go and do that right now. That's not in community development's mandate to go to each location and ensure compliance with the conditions that we establish at these hearings.
Generally, no, sir.
Gotcha.
We don't do enforcement.
Gotcha. Okay, so just my my ask there, I guess, would be, I think maybe in a lot of those that doesn't matter if there's a warning sign, but for something like this, that, you know, the reason we put these conditions in place is because of sex trafficking, and I think there might be some, and I think this would be a council-initiated action, but I think there might be some legitimacy to more of a licensing, some kind of structure where there's actually a check versus just we can all pat ourselves on the back when we left the dais here, but there's actually no follow-up to make sure that these conditions are being enforced. So we spend a lot of time here like interrogating people. I don't think that accomplishes a lot. I think what ultimately is going to accomplish something at the end of the day is being able to, in a regimented way, something that's not currently a part of CD's mandate, to be able to ensure there's no window coverings, that they're not staying open past 10 or whatever. So I just wanted to plant that seed. And other than that, I don't have any issue with this particular business at all.
Councilmember Orlando, if I may follow up, code enforcement currently reports to the fire department, and the fire department does annual inspections of their facilities. So it may be something that they can add to the checklist when the fire department goes out to CUPs, massage establishment CUPs, that they invite code enforcement for those annual inspections to make sure that the items on the CUP condition list is met. Additionally, I think that staff has recognized the very issue that you're talking about. So they've created something to make sure that they go out and inspect. And I think Martin, in his presentation, mentioned with a enforcement effort that they were doing on something else, and that was a result of that. I think they talked about it at one of their, we called it the SNAP meetings, and then generated a time frame of when they wanted to go out and do inspections on all of these facilities. And then for those who were not compliant, make sure they issue the notices of compliance, and then they'll follow up accordingly with either criminal action in the municipal court, or as it might be, seeking revocation of the CUP
Right.
in front of this body.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think especially on the fire department suggestion, that's a strong proposal. I guess I'll just use that to jump off with one other question. If someone, for instance, were to come in, as in this case, and then it just became clear they were completely not complying with the conditions, I guess what I'm saying is, do they then just have the opportunity to get into compliance, or if it's clear that somebody acted in bad faith and did not at all adhere to the conditions, would that be at the council's discretion to go for revoking that permit versus seeking compliance?
I think in part it's going to depend on the circumstances of the case and whether or not it is, which condition between 1 and 7 has been violated.
Sure.
Of course, if it's going to be one of the penal code violations, I think that as soon as the police department makes whatever the appropriate decisions and arrests are, something's going to happen with the CUP being revoked immediately. I'm sorry, being revoked after having an opportunity to be heard in front of city council. Otherwise, if it's the other ones where somebody can remedy something easily, like if the windows are being covered, give them notice that they have to remove those window coverings by X date, and if they don't, then the enforcement action happens.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other council report?
Does the fire department notify them of a pending annual inspection, or is it unannounced?
No, sir. I believe it's unannounced. They just have their list. Everybody has their workload, and they go out and do their checks when they think it's appropriate.
All right, thank you.
Any other comment by council at this point? Then moving in our agenda to Item number C, persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request. Councilmember Little?
We did that already.
Yeah, no, we did, but we went back though. Okay. Okay. Item 7, Planning and Zoning Commissions, City Council and the staff discussions. Huh?
We're finished with that. We're wrapping that up.
Huh?
Any further staff comment?
No.
I had one, if I may.
I have a second.
Oh, planning goes first. It's a planning item.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Go for any other.
The only thing I was going to add is that there was a request that the site plan wasn't included. The exhibit or the resolution that will be voted on shortly does not have an additional exhibit for the site plan.
And from the legal department, the staff wrap-up is items 1 through 7 of the conditions that were presented are parts of the ordinance, so they are not included in the resolution. There was at least one council member who suggested an additional condition in regards to the locking of the doors for the interior. If you wanted to add that as part of the consideration and possible action, you would need to do that at that time. Otherwise, we'll have to do a separate amendment for that item.
Condition number 3 does say that all doors shall remain unlocked during normal business hours. So that may already taking.
This would not be a normal business hour if I understood the council member's question correctly.
Yeah, so, but I could make the motion and then I could amend it that way. I'll give the rest of council the opportunity to vote on that separately.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would rather do that. Thank you.
Switch it over here. This being a joint special meeting requires that the item that we have been discussing would be a city council new business item, and I'll ask Councilmember Hernandez to present this for our consideration.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action resolution R2019-CUP19-00028. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. We have a motion and a second on the floor, Madam Secretary.
Mayor, if I could, I would like to move to amend this motion with an additional condition that all doors must be able to be opened from the interior of the room at all times.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
We have a second. Is there a problem with, any question, comment on that? We have a, what does the council vote on that?
We do have an original motion that was first and seconded. So first we will vote on the original motion.
Well,
No,
no, the amendment first.
to vote on the amendment.
Amendment
the
first,
first.
thank you.
To the amendment.
Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
The amended motion passes 7-0.
No, that's the amendment. to
Just
the-
the amendment.
That's the amendment.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So now we have to,
The original, now we'll need to vote on the original motion.
Okay, we are now with an amended motion on the table. Madam Secretary, we have a motion second on the floor. Amended motion,
Original.
the,
Yes.
as amended.
Yes. Okay, so Councilmember Orlando,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
The motion does pass as amended.
Moving to item number 9, which will let me adjourn this item, which I shall do at 9:15. There being, since item number 2 has been canceled, we have moved down to adjournment at 9:16.